Okay, good morning to Sabari. Today my group will present about the effect of COVID-19 in our tertiary level in our Malaysia. So on the 31st December of 2018, the World Health Organization (WHO) received an information about an infected individuals from unknown source in Wuhan City, China. So according to the National Health Commission of China, people infected with coronavirus may go to a seafood market in China that sells live animals, for example like bats, rabbit, frogs. Humans are the major host of this coronavirus as they consume sick bats as a source of food. However, the virus can also be passed from person to person through close contact. Coughing and sneezing by sick person might potentially expose them to coronavirus. So the WHO declared that the cause of this pandemic outbreak was a new coronavirus found in 2019. And this COVID-19 has been quickly expanded to other countries, including South Korea, Taiwan, Thailand, Singapore, Japan, Italy, Iran, Spain, United States, and also the United Kingdom. And the first case of COVID-19 in Malaysia was detected on 24th January 2020. One of the effects of COVID-19 in Malaysia is the education. It has seen significant changes throughout the year. And this ongoing adjustment in our education system in our Malaysia are carried out with possibly only one goal in mind, which is to enhance the current teaching and learning procedure in school and also the higher education institutions. So such action highlight that the government in our Malaysia country never-ending effort to improve the quality of education for its citizen in Malaysia. After a decade in the new millennium, the education scenario is under increased pressure to make even more advanced to meet the demands and expectations of education in the 21st century. Why? Because this is to guarantee that our people can compete on a global scale in this borderless world. So the same goes for the tertiary level, which is the third stage of learning that is done after graduating from high school or entering the workplace. For example, a tertiary level education is studying a diploma or a degree at a university. Overall, both of the facts shows that the COVID-19 has been detrimental to our tertiary level in Malaysia, as it has lowered the learning process for the student and they can only receive the learning process by online. And how will this tertiary level student receive a proper education when this pandemic affect their learning process? Only at their institution will ensure them to develop the student academic knowledge and prepare them for industry-related skills. Instead of learning it through online, we also need to do it by our own self to have skills. And in this institution, it plays a big part in the transformation process of a teenager to becoming an adult. So the university experience is still an essential social learning curve and a requirement for a practically each job interview. So that's all for me. Now I'm going to pass this slide to Siti Khadijah as she will explain more about the problem statement. Thank you.
In this new norm, Malaysia's educational process is being held online to decrease the social interaction between learners and among teachers. Online learning has provided a lot of benefits, and one of them is Malaysia's educational system can still be proceed. But there are also concerns regarding this issue, especially toward the tertiary educational level in Malaysia. And one of the concerns is the preparedness for the lesson. As social interaction is being minimized, some of tertiary level students are affected. As an example, there are some courses that need to do a face-to-face experiment or a lab tutorial to complete their research or project. Other than that, internet also required to prepare for the online learning process. Slow traffic internet flow are one of the biggest problems that students always face during online classes. The teaching and learning plan remain unchanged. This forces students and lecturers to complete their syllabus on time. At the same time, there are students and lecturers who have little experience on using online education. So this puts some pressure on the students and lecturers who need to explore the online educations at the same time to complete their works and assessment. The research question of this study is first, what is the impact of COVID-19 toward tertiary education level in Malaysia, and what are the effective factors of online learning among learners? So, the research objective of these studies are to investigate the impact of COVID-19 toward tertiary education level in Malaysia and to predict the effective factors of online learning among learners.
Next, I'm going to explain about the relationship between fear of COVID-19, psychopathology, and sociodemographic variables in Malaysian populations. So in this case, COVID-19 had a wide range of effects in Malaysia. Although Malaysia is on the right route to flattening the curve as a result of the government's prompt and effective action, it is critical to examine the psychological effects of the pandemic and the movement control order. This research was carried out in Borneo, Malaysia, using snowball techniques and by inviting university students and staff to participate via a mailing list. The survey used the recently validated Malay version fear of COVID-19 scale and DASS-21 scale to collect socio-demographic data as well as to measure psychological impact. So the total number of 222 people took part in the survey. Next, I'm going to explain about the issues of graduate unemployment in Malaysia post-COVID-19. So this is critical since the COVID-19 pandemic is projected to result in a greater jobless rate. After conducting semi-structured interviews with 10 graduates from one of Malacca's public universities, it was discovered that the majority of the graduates want to look for jobs, even if the jobs are for those with a lower educational background. Furthermore, just a small percentage of them intend to enter the GIG economy by learning new skills and updating their skills. This trend demonstrates that recent graduates in Malaysia continue to rely heavily on to rely heavily on jobs in the public or private private sector. The method used in this case is a qualitative research design used to gather in-depth information on a subject by conducting semi-structured interviews with 10 individuals. Next, and for the last one, I'm going to explain about exploring the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on university students' learning life, an integrated conceptual motivational model for sustainable and healthy online learning. This study has two main objectives. First one is this paper will look into whether university students' use of online learning platform during the COVID-19 period pose any challenges to their learning. Second one is the paper will address potential solutions by developing a conceptual model to mitigate the impact of such events. The method used in this case is to analyze the acquired textual data. This study used a qualitative exploratory technique and a simple quantitative approach to create supported descriptive analysis.
A Google form was utilized to create the administered online questionnaire used in these investigations. And that is all from me. Thank you.
Methodology. So this study methodology focus on the technique utilized to collect and analyze data. Okay, as a result, the focus of this chapter is on the research design, data collection technique, instrument chart, sample method, and data analysis strategy employed in this study. So about the research instrument, okay, this study employed a qualitative exploratory strategy to analyze acquired textual data and a simple quantitative approach to create descriptive support. Okay. A Google form that will be utilized to create the self-administrated online questionnaire will be used in this investigation. Okay, online questionnaire are the best way to collect data because of the social distancing norm and restriction implemented during COVID-19 pandemic. So, the online self-administrated questionnaire will be divided into 3 sections: financial problem, and closed question about the impact of COVID-19 on student, social life, health, and personal habit. So, the final section provided respondents with enough writing space to express their opinions and share their personal experience with the issue. So, snowballing and purposive sampling will be used to collect data. Okay, purposive sampling is a technique in which the researcher first sample a small group of people relevant to the research objective, who are then asked to propose another related set of respondents and distribute questionnaire to them. So, this qualitative exploratory research aims to answer the following 4 questions. The question number 1: what are the challenges and difficulty facing students during the COVID-19 lockdown? Okay, number 2: how are students dealing with this challenge and difficulties? Number 3: what stresses are affecting students during the COVID-19 lockdown? Okay, number 4: what factor might help students to overcome the challenge and difficulty they face during pandemic? About the procedure, so this study used the broad idea of qualitative content analysis, which depend on subjective interpretation of the text content to execute the systematic categorization process of codifying and detecting themes and patterns. So, this study did a theme analysis of the following the stage inspired by Creswell and Potts 2016. Okay, so first we gather by the database. First, we will recognize and sort the data that will be collected. Okay, second, the information gathered by the database will sort again. Okay. Finally, we will compile a list of notable remarks based on the collected response and other relevant source. Okay. So, after that, we will use the NVivo Staff software to code the data and organize it into teams. Okay. This entailing combining transcript data into small group of information and then searching for evidence of the code in the various database utilized in the study. Finally, the code will be reduced, data will be presented in figures, table, or a discussion, and an interpretation is going to be developed. Okay, so regardless of the size of the database utilized in this qualitative research, we follow Creswell recommend team data analysis technique and not suppress the production of 25 to 30 categories of information about the phenomena. Then the form will be simplified and consolidated into a few teams, which are going to be utilized to develop a study narrative and citative the findings as stated in subsection that follows. So, for research respondent, okay, to fill the research purpose, we will collect data from one of the university in Kuala Selangor, and the respondent based on the eligibility that we need. The requirement to take part in this research is all respondents must have experience using online platform. Okay, if any of the respondents do not practice learning using online platform, they are asked not to answer the questionnaire. Okay, these participants, they recommend others who have prior experience with learning and so on.